There appears to be at least one quick change that's been made. I've never seen an agenda so detailed before. This is the way I was hoping it would always be. This seems to be a much more detailed agenda than I've seen in the past, that I've noticed.
We started doing that a couple meetings ago, Mr. Wallace.
A couple meetings ago. It's a shame it wasn't a couple years ago. I also listened very carefully to what counsel had to say, giving what I feel are excuses in the court's rendering of this decision. What I found very interesting, I asked the question, if there's so much confusion up and down the state at all levels of government, between judges ruling and appellate rulings, etc., then why is Gloucester County the only freeholder board that has a monitor, a court-appointed monitor, to watch over it? It just seems to me if there's that much confusion all over the place, there should be chaos up and down the state. But to the best of my knowledge, the Gloucester County Freeholder Board is the only board that has a court-appointed monitor. Is that correct?
Well, you addressed to me, Mr. Wallace. You addressed the chair, and I'll direct the question. You want an answer?
Sure.
Would you be outraged if you found out other governments aren't following the rule? Since you just brought, would you be outraged? Would you be outraged?
Absolutely.
Would you be willing to go to meetings and voice opposition if that was the case? You know, you're running for freeholder.
I've been doing it for a few years.
Well, you're running for freeholder, and
Am I running for freeholder?
no. Let me finish, Ms. Wallace. Let me finish for a second.
Trying to use
All I'm trying to do is establish that you would be as outraged at other governments if this was the case. You made a statement. How come? We did a survey. It appears that a lot of governments are not following the law. In fact, it appears there are many governments in this county. It appears. Again, you know, we could have.
I don't understand what that has to do with.
What it has to do with.
What's going on in the other towns is
Wallace,
something that
let me finish my statement. Let me finish my statement. You started with, how come only Gloucester County?
I said, how come Gloucester County has the only court-appointed monitor?
Because we're the only ones that got sued. Now, what I'm saying right now, Mr. Wallace, is what we found out in a brief review of multiple towns in this county, they're not following it. In fact, everyone could have a court-appointed monitor if they were taken to court. We found other counties, as we reviewed this, around the state don't have closed sessions, that haven't gone into closed session for over a year. That's not possible. So we were ones that got sued. The county of Gloucester was sued. We're the only ones that were sued. Other county governments stopped having closed sessions when they saw the lawsuit. What I'm telling you right now is most of the towns, it appears, Republican and Democrat, are not following the letter of the law. In fact, to a point where we are going to put a seminar together, the county, is going to put a seminar together, to every single municipality, so they can avoid these gotcha type lawsuits. So what I'm saying is, you made the statement, how come? We were the only ones that were sued, but I can show you Winona, Franklin, Pittman, Deptford, other towns, Republican and Democrat, that are not following the law. And that if Mr. Semino or another attorney had filed a lawsuit, I am sure the judges would appoint a monitor. Now, this was just a very brief review online, and we found this information. So, you know, it could be much worse than what we're saying. So, the simple answer is we got sued and no one else did.
Well, I think what really happened were concerned citizens decided that what's going on and has been going on is unacceptable. Just because someone can have to be in Gloucester County doesn't forgive everybody else that may be violating the law. You may be absolutely correct. I have no idea. And you know what? If I find out, for instance, my town, Woolwich Township, is violating the law, I'm going to be just as outraged about it. Because I believe, I'm a little naive, I'm a little idealistic. I believe that open government is a right and a duty that we should all enjoy. And I also believe in the spirit of the law. The spirit of the law, not just the letter of the law. I was at the ruling at the courthouse And the judge took issue with how you guys try to go right to the edge and you're trying to interpret, every little aspect of the law. He said that from the bench. I was there. And what he admonished the county about there, right from the bench, was the spirit of the law. That the spirit of the law says open up everything. Let it all be there except what's absolutely required by the law. Something that cannot, by law, be said in open session, which is a very tiny fraction of the business that goes on in the county. I saw the lawsuit. There were things discussed in closed session that were routine, everyday stuff that's not discussed in open session here, or in closed session that's not discussed in open session here. I'm flabbergasted as to why that happens, why you run this county this way. But really, the main reason why I'm here is I don't want this to get swept under the rug, to be forgotten, the headlines fade away. I think there has to be accountability. Somebody's got to pay the price for violating the law, because the fact is, this isn't one situation. This is, at least that I know of, the third time that the court has come back and ruled that the county took a vote in secret, illegally, that had to be redone in open court, or open session, as you're aware. Board of Supervisors, election supervisors, the workers' comp, and now this one. Strike one, strike two, strike three, they're out. Clearly, you have an incredibly difficult and important job in the state legislature. The budget of New Jersey is under all of the myriad of problems that are going on in this state, require an enormous amount of time, energy, work, hours in the day. There's only so much you can do. Clearly, this is overwhelming. Having both jobs doesn't work. And someone has to be held accountable. The fact is, Gloucester County Freeholder Board is the only board that has a court-appointed monitor that, and let me get it straight, that was described with a pattern of wrongful conduct. There has to be somebody held accountable for this. Somebody, whether it's the legal team, whether it's you, Mr. Sweeney, somebody's got to be held accountable. Somebody's got to resign, somebody's got to be publicly admonished, and this has to be prevented from ever happening again. I think it's very simple.
Mr. Wallace, we follow our legal advice just like you have attorneys. We do everything that our attorneys tell us we're supposed to do. We follow the law.
And you got bad advice.
Well,
where you didn't listen to it, one or the other.
Mr. Wallace, we listen to our attorneys. And that's what you do when you hire attorneys. And some people win cases and some people lose cases. We don't agree. The judge originally ruled with us, was overturned, and then we answered.
This is the third time.
Mr. Wallace,
Not one,
Mr.
three.
Wallace, we follow our attorney's advice. And you know something? You said, how come we're the one county that got sued? We do more than any other county in the state, and I can stand by that, to try to be transparent and open. And even with that, we were sued. So
Apparently a judge disagreed with you, son.
well, apparently he agreed with us the first time, the same judge. So Mr. Wallace,
And that was overturned. Look,
Wallace,
the
your time
fact
is up.
is,
Mr.
you
Wallace,
were
Mr.
slapped
Wallace.
with the court-appointed monitor.
You're right.
There has to be accountability. The
Mr.
guy
Wallace,
who
your
RP
time is
resigned, he did the right thing. He got caught, he resigned.
Mr. Wallace, please be respectful. Your time is
Be
up.
very respectful, sir.
Your
I
time is
didn't
up.
speak over
Sorry.
you in the beginning, you spoke over them.
No, I answered your question. Your time is up.
My time is up?
Yes, there's a 5-minute time limit. There's other people I'm sure that would like to speak here. And if you tell me there's no rule or allowing of time limits, we have them in the legislature. We have them in all levels of government. You had your
This is about transparency and open
Mr.
government,
Wallace,
not about how much
Mr.
time you have to
Wallace,
speak.
You had your time to speak. There's others that would like to speak, I am sure. Your
I would
time
like-
is up, Mr. Wallace. Please respect the rules. You just said you want to follow the rules, and now you want to violate
I
them.
would like one question answered, has been
I've
answered.
answered your questions. Your time is up.
Who's going to be held accountable?
No one has done anything wrong. Your time is up. Anyone else wishing to speak? Mary Grant.